morning, everybody. So today, anyway, it is a auspicious day. So Jogal Muje and Kembod both were saying, you are just old, better talk something. So I don't know what to really say. Only thing is, I know that we are here for the retreat. The holy place where our late Holiness Enorambache, who have done everything for us. As last time, Chorambache also mentioned about what Holiness has established here. And because of that, we have this opportunity that at least kind of every year, out of 12 months, 1 month we do something more serious Dharma practice as a kind of like retreat, which is anyway, as you all know, it is very important and necessary, and also it is very precious. Because now in the world, as we know, that in general from the Dharma point of view, it is saying the degenerating period of time. And that what it means, the degenerating is not just the external physical and wealth and technologies and kind of other educations. So degenerating is the inner quality of the kind of what Buddha has taught about, that the or Buddha nature quality or divine nature quality or whatsoever name we may given, but that is what the spiritual quality, such as kind of most important thing, how to care all other sentient beings equal like oneself through sense of generating loving kindness, and with that how one try to be kind of like a nice and patient and caring, and at the same time those who are going through all those kind of like suffering, that where one could do like develop as at least some sense of feeling compassion or pitiful to them. Even this now world, how much that the negative forces and negative thinking and of the very, very samsaric, ignorant, deluded mind that causing so much kind of like suffering and problem, kind of even within the kind of like human beings, is just because that the part of the spirituality, the nobleness, or that the inner qualities of those kind of like degenerating, and then the negativities are becoming more kind of powerful. So that's why kind of we have to understand what is the most important and most beneficial, and at the same time like the most powerful antidote is the Dharma practice. No anything in the world whatsoever, the external materials or powers of whatever it is existing, it just more or less brings destruction and suffering and problem. So through the Dharma practice, that the very in a way what Buddha has taught is that about ourselves, about our life, about this world, about kind of in the world what is kind of its nature and what is just happening, and according to that how we have to deal with it in our day-to-day lifetime, just training our mind, how one can even understand the law of karma, and in general the law of karma is kind of very pervasive. But every single individual, oneself, is creating one's own karma, and one's own kind of result and one's own just whether it is happiness or suffering. That there is no anybody in the world to blame. It is one's own deed and one's own mind and one's own kind of doing something, whatever, for example, in the past lifetime, and according to that we are bearing that result, the consequences. And in the same way, today, what we ever do, or even in this our lifetime, all sorts of kind of mental thoughts and verbal speech, and then the physical act, whether it is something positive or negative, virtuous or non-virtuous. According to that, each and every one of us going to experience its consequences or that kind of result. So that is why that Buddha in the very beginning kind of taught about the Four Noble Truth teaching. But at the same time, Buddha also said there is also a way how we can get out of it. There is the kind of path and then the kind of cessation. So according to that, here kind of our holiness also taught that the Dharma path is just very, very important at this kind of like the 21st century, and you continue with that how we all could engage into Dharma, and at least one could kind of like shape one's lifestyle much more happier and much more better and much more meaningful with all this Dharma knowledge, Dharma understanding, and then at the same time, whatever we could understand, engaging into practice. And within all those Dharma, as you know, there are all those 84,000 verses of the teaching, which is very vast and profound. But how that we can engage into practice in one lifetime, here, then what is called kind of Dzogchen, the Namche Dzogchen, Buddha in the palm of hand. So that starting from Ngando, and then kind of Tsalung, Tegel, then the Chakche part, all that, even our late holiness also said, in the degenerating period of time, that when people's mind are so disturbed with all this afflictive emotion, then that antidote also need, from the Dhamma point of view, something very powerful, that which can kind of like purify those. For example, any kind of very serious sickness, then that also need a more powerful medication. Otherwise, one could not kind of heal. So in that same way, that the now it is the practice of the great perfection, which in a way we all must have accumulated some merit, and also we all must have done some aspiration prayer in our past lifetime. That is why we all have this opportunity to engage into these kind of the highest tantric kind of teachings, instructions, and the kind of like practice. According to that, to help to instantly or immediately at least some kind of obscuration to be purified. Then all these kind of which is giving all these empowerments, and then to engage into the practice in a regular basis. Then we have this kind of all the teaching, explanation plus instruction, how to apply into practice to train our mind, how our mind can be more calm and clear and peaceful with all those kind of qualities, that being more patient and more tolerant and more compassionate and more loving, more caring, and all those just when we study and contemplate and then try to do those practice, even with meditation, then one could kind of like see some differences in our kind of like mind or in our being, and that what it is the whole purpose as we do bodhisattva vow, try to train as that we all could become a noble person, a bodhisattva, a great kind of well-trained mind kind of being. And then with the Guru Yoga, that where one can receive the complete blessing, and so all these kind of prayers and chanting and practices as we do, even just 1 minute or 1 hour, whatever practice, even one word of chanting and few lines of prayer, these definitely have its kind of like a benefits, and at the same time how it helps certain level of obscuration get purified. But kind of these are even like our mind is invisible, because mind doesn't have any kind of like shape, color, substance, so we can't see. Similar like all these virtues and merits and including negativities, whatever we done, they also don't have any specific shape, color, form, substance that which we can see. But whatever we just do these practices, according to that, the its own kind of like benefit of going through process of purification and also accumulating merit and wisdom, those are constantly kind of like happening, and that we should know, we should understand, because that all our masters say the Dharma practice is not a weekend practice or overnight practice that you have gained some kind of realization, but the Dharma practice is kind of lifetime, and not just only kind of that, like Shakyamuni Buddha even saying 3,000 years lifetime, accumulating merit and wisdom. And similar, all the past enlightened beings and bodhisattvas and the great masters, they all have gone through similar kind of like practice, because our obscuration has been there from beginningless lifetime. So that is why it is very thick. So we have to work hard that the obscuration part layer and layer and layer, and just kind of getting less and less and less, and one day then one can kind of have some experience, and that is how one can realize, oh, this is kind of something happening. So according to that, the Guru Yoga practice, that we do all the prayers and mantras, and it is kind of like a benefiting. For example, in Taiwan, one of our friend kind of thought that the Lama want to do this 100,000 times of 7-line prayer, and then he sit into retreat and just keep doing, and then almost like 900,000 he kind of just done and almost accomplishing. Then he becomes sick, very sick, and physically sick, and then kind of feeling very weak and very difficult. And then the student, they said, oh, better you just come out of the retreat and have to see kind of doctor or hospital. Then they said, no, I make this my promise, I have made this commitment, I must have to just do it, even that now almost finishing, so I don't want to just break it, and even could not get success and die also. Okay, then he continued, and then one night he had a kind of like a dream, something something appeared and just gave him some sort of like medicine or something, and then he had so much blood, kind of vomiting out. That all happened in the dream, and then when he wake up, then he was kind of like scared because of the dream. Oh, I had so much blood coming up. Maybe kind of become very weak. Maybe I'm just going to die or something. But anyway, he just kind of, and later he found all the sickness is gone. He just become just well again. Don't feel any kind of that suffering of that sickness or kind of giddiness or anything. So that when we have that commitment and then trust into these prayers and practices, then it is 100% sure one can gain those kind of like a benefit. Similar like that, Holiness also told many stories about those who have cancer and they did the Guru Yoga and Saranam prayer and Guru Mantra, and then kind of since they don't have any other choice now other than doing the dedicating to practice. So when they did, then even the cancer sickness also got kind of like healed. So those are, once our neck just kind of determine and have 100% trust and then commitment and just kind of follow properly, then the result kind of like instantly happening. So that way, there are so many other stories that in their life, and in that way we should also understand, and based on the kind of all these teachings, especially like what the Holiness blessings are still here, and we all work together into this kind of retreat. So I hope I don't know what I said. But anything that there is something beneficial or meaningful, then take it. Otherwise, sound is kind of empty. It will dissolve itself. So, wish to have a rest of our retreat more successful and beneficial, and every individual also try to work harder. That now only half part of retreat is left. No, I should kind of do better. When you leave the retreat, at least you have some change in your kind of being, more kind, more peaceful, more nice, more kind, and more relaxed, and more dedicating oneself into these kind of practices, because one got so used to it. So that way, if you change in a better way, then purpose of retreat is done, and that kind of change, impermanence is we need. It is okay, it is good, not like all these weather changes. So the impermanence is anyway very, very uncertain. So with all those kind of your practices, and then I wish you that successful retreat. Okay, thank you.